Mm-hmm. What's going on, Boss Up fam? It is episode 110 about breaking free and how to get unstuck and move forward. So we like to start off with a lot of positivity. So Natalie, what is like your win for the week? What's your positivity vibe? Oh, guys, like and share this feed as well too. But what are some of your week's triumphs and wins for this week?
Man, I was prepared today. In my academy, we have winning Wednesdays, and I dropped those wins in there today, and there were quite a few. But one thing I want to share is just getting new insight and revelation around goals, time, money, education, business. I was really struggling at one point with the goal thing, right? And I know people talk about goal setting and making sure that it's time bound, the SMART goals. And I was thinking about those because when you don't accomplish your goals at a certain time, sometimes you feel discouraged. Sometimes you get discouraged because it's like I have not completed this thing. I thought I was going to complete it within a year, and I'm still here. And now you get to a place where you start feeling stuck, right? And then I heard Myron Golden. Everybody knows, if you don't know Myron Golden, go look him up. And he was talking about taking the time constraints off of those goals, and just moving forward, knowing that the end result, like especially whatever God told you is going to happen, that is going to happen regardless. That you have to go through from the time you decide you have a dream, you have a vision, till the time that it's actually realized, there's going to be some adversity. There's going to be, like you called it, drama in between. And sometimes you can get into that place where you're in the middle of the drama and feel like your end result or your destiny is never going to be accomplished. But just know that should give you more hope that you're on the right path, that the adversity is just building you and preparing you for what is to come. So I'm just celebrating, just getting a lot of having these mindset shift that was causing me to be stagnant in my business. Now actually is a release. I'm no longer holding on to these things, and it can help me move forward with more tenacity and to be more, I want to say, aggressive. Yeah, to be more assertive, to be more aggressive when it comes to promoting my business, working in the business, working on the business. That I'm not saying, oh, I'm stuck, so I can't do anything. Oh no, we keeping it moving. So yeah, that's what I'm
That's good.
celebrating.
I love that. My wins for this week is just choosing to be present in the moment, but finding a motivation to still continue to work. A lot of times too is just like I think this topic today about getting unstuck is really kind of like a thing for right now because I have a lot of good things going on, but it requires me to work. And I think too, the thing about a dream or a goal, you have to keep working, even when you don't feel like, even though you want to, you have to be adamant about saying, no, I'm going to actively choose to work and to go hard on my goals and my dreams. So that's my win for me today is just choosing to be unstuck and choosing to go after my dreams and my goals. Because, like usually, like for me, like Valentine's Day is a big money making week for me, but it's been dry. It's like, where the love is at? So I think the biggest part for me is like, okay, how do we, pivot and move to really get to the next level? And I think too, like the question, like I think I asked like people's like, have you ever felt stuck? No matter how hard you try, you're like spinning tirelessly, but it's like not going anywhere. And that could be business, career, finances, personal life. Feeling stagnant is so frustrating. It's a place where it seems like you can see where you want to go, but it's like how to do it seems so hard. And I think too, what I was listening to yesterday was Dr. Miles Monroe, and it was talking about Jeremiah 29. for the, I know the thoughts and plans I think towards you, and when I had to start thinking about that, I'm like, hey, it's not that I'm stuck, it's that what am I listening to allow me to help me feel unstuck? Because feeling stuck is a feeling, when honestly, sometimes you're not stuck, it's just a feeling. And how do you get out of feelings that go contrary to what you believe? And I had to step out of it. So I had to start, like, I was listening to Miles Monroe for at least like 3 hours yesterday, because I'm like, no, this is not how you're supposed to feel, Josh. So how do you combat negative feelings of lack or frustration and battle them with victory and hope and joy, and really to go to my expected end? So I think what we're talking about today is just really just it's one of those things where Isaiah 43 verse 18 19, forget the former things, don't dwell in the past, and see I am doing a new thing. And I think the more you start to go into places of uncertainty and lack, it really means a change is on the way. It really means that you're on the right track. Sometimes you got to pivot your feelings, pivot the emotions, and realize that, hey, God is doing a new thing.
That's good. I love that. And I love that you first of all, let's not skip over the fact that you were valedictorian of your class, okay? For your masters,
Thank you.
right? I don't know if you guys saw him all this week posting about it, but I did, and I want to say that is definitely a win that you came out with your grade number 1 in the class. It's not an easy feat to be a and this you were taking your master's when you were a full-time entrepreneur, a full-time teacher, and you were
Yeah.
going to school at the same time. So it was not an easy feat for you to do all that and not just say, I'm going to coast and I'm going to just get the degree. I'm going to come out on top, right? And so, congratulations. We celebrate you.
Thank you. I
That was
appreciate that.
amazing. And,
I
and
forgot
just,
about that this weekend. I forgot about that when I just graduated off stage.
you
That's how
did.
that's how that's how stuck I was feeling, not even realizing that I literally just went across the stage, valedictorian. Like, that's how sometimes you need to remind yourself, because I wasn't even thinking about that. That didn't even cross my mind, because I'm like, how do I get unstuck? When I think sometimes your feelings of stuck really clouds your wins. We have so many wins, and I wasn't even thinking about that, Natalie. That's the funny part about it. Like that, I'm like, oh, that was last week, because I'm on to the next assignment right now. Like, okay, that was great. What's next? My bad. Continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm glad you spoke to it because I think that's part of it too. Like sometimes, like you said, it is just a feeling and it is not indicative of what actually is happening around you, right? And sometimes you'll see people and be like, oh, they're just posting their highlight reels and all that other stuff. But sometimes you need to celebrate those highlights. You need to celebrate, those
Yeah,
moments. And that celebration does not have to be just for that particular moment. It could extend for a few weeks at a time because I know some people celebrate their birthday all month long. Be like all month
that part.
long. But sometimes we need to take a little bit more time to just really sit in those wins and understand that yes, we're going to feel stuck. I love that you said that sometimes being stuck is not our actual reality, but it is a feeling, right? And feelings
Mhm.
are fleeting. And the thing that you did that was so important and so vital was you didn't wait for the feeling to pass. You didn't wait for the feeling to take its course and take its time to just pass. You did something to speed up the process. And it reminds me of a concept in math where we talk about functions, and functions, for every input there is an output that comes with that function. And so you decided, I'm going to change the input. I'm going to change the things that are coming into my mind, because feelings are, if we don't recognize it, connected to a thought. The things that you're thinking, and
Mhm.
those thoughts don't have to be justified in truth or fact. It could be something
Mhm.
that somebody said that was a lie. It could be something the enemy put in our minds that was a lie. It could be something that we thought about that was a lie, right? And that lie, it invokes this feeling. And so you decided, hey, I'm going to change the input. I'm going to go ahead and listen to Dr. Miles Monroe. And you were were aggressive about it, right? You
Yeah.
were like, I'm not just gonna listen for 5 minutes. I'm gonna listen for 3 hours because I need to change the way that I'm showing up. And we don't realize that we have more control over ourselves than we actually recognize. A lot of us are trying to control the outside things, the external things like the economy, like the market, like how people respond to our messaging and stuff like that. When the one thing that you do have control over is yourself. And once you begin to change how you begin to see things, how you show up, things around you have no other recourse but to react to you. I'm going to say it again, to respond to how you show up. So I love that you first decided, I'm no longer going to be in this stuck place. And then you said, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to speed up the process of getting this feeling to be released. And I'm going to change the input, the thoughts that are coming
Yeah.
into my head. So that was good. I love that. That was a whole masterclass right there in what you just said.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think the first part too is like, in order to get unstuck, you have to really identify what's holding you back. And a lot of times we will sit and ponder and go through things that we have not chosen to say, what is the root of this issue? Why am I feeling this way? And you can't expect things to change until you acknowledge what it is, because once you acknowledge it, you can fix it. Before you move on, you have to identify what's keeping you stuck. Sometimes it can be fear, self-doubt, lack of discipline, unhealthy environment, past failures, you know, and stagnation can be mental, emotional, spiritual, financial. And I think too, you can have a win in one area, but something else could be such a negativity thing that you're not celebrating yourself. And I think too, once you choose to celebrate yourself, it's easier to move things when you start to celebrate, you start to find joy in every area of your life. In Hebrews 12 verse 1, it says, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that is so easily entangled. So I think sometimes too is when you're quick to let hindrances go, you start to see progress. And I think sometimes too, you can feel stagnated or stuck because of fear. Fear can be such a strong thing that it allows you to be fear of the unknown, fear of what's next, or fear of what's not going right, or fear, well, this is usually what happens, but this is what's going on. But I got to remind myself that, 2 Timothy 2, verse 1 through 7 says, for God has not given me a spirit of fear, but a love, power, and a sound mind. So right now, if I'm feeling stuck, I said, this is not power, this is not love, and this is not sound mind. And sometimes you got to remind yourself of the promises of God for your life, because you'll still be in a place of uncertainty. But I know I got a promise. Like I know growing up, my mom is a person of her word. Like if she says she's gonna do something, she's gonna do it. So I know if my mom says, hey, I promise X, Y, and Z, I can depend on her with X, Y, and Z. And if I ask her about it, she said, oh, you know what? Let me do it right now. But it's the thing, like the same thing. If God, has given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind, anything that's contrary to that, I have to say, well, hold on, what's up? This is not a promise. And I know that God doesn't break his promises. So when I feel in those places, I have to switch it around, because sometimes our answer is on the other side of admitting what the fear is and saying, hey, this is what's bothering me, and I choose to overcome it. And next, answered prayer starts to happen, because I've chosen to really get rid of that stuff. So the first thing I think is important is write down the areas that you feel stuck and be honest about it. Because sometimes we be faking a funk about stuff that's really bothering us. The second thing is identify the cause. It is fear, procrastination, financial limitations, negative self-talk. And the next thing is seek clarity, which we always talk about through prayer, meditation, journaling, mind mapping, read a book, do something that you love to do, because you have clarity when it's time to move forward. Because sometimes you'll keep feeling stuck and you'll be your worst enemy, because you're choosing to actively not better yourself because of fear, because of lack. And the season of my life is like, yo, no, Jay, like you're too dope to sit here and to beat yourself up about stuff that's not going right in your life. Because the more I focus on a glass half full the more time I get to add more to that and not even focus on the half information. But it's possible to be stuck, but it's possible to be unstuck as well too, to get to where you need to be in your life.
I absolutely love those. And you're right. It's possible to be stuck, but there's also a flip side to that where it's possible to get unstuck as well. And it just reminds me of the law of polarity, where there's opposite yet equal sides, right? That's more into physics and all that good stuff. Y'all know I'm a math teacher. I'm gonna have to bring that stuff in there.
That's
But one thing that because I do all these things on the list, right? I write down the area where I feel stuck, and I like that you said be honest with yourself. I remember there was a time in my journey where I wanted so much to feel as if I was a good person that I was not being honest with myself. And it wasn't until I started being honest with myself, right, and saying, this is exactly where I'm at, this is how I feel, that I was able to move past those particular feelings. But it came to a head from all the dishonesty and not being true, and saying this is how I'm feeling, where it came to a head. You know how when you sometimes don't address things with a partner or a friend, and it just bubbles up, and then one day they do one thing that is not even that bad and you just blow up. That's exactly how it was with me, not being honest with myself. Is I just had a meltdown basically. And so in order to refrain from doing that, is just now being very honest with myself and saying, this is what I'm feeling, this is what's happening right now. So acknowledging that true aspect of who you are, it really is the key to getting unstuck. Now, another thing that used to happen to me a lot, because I didn't grow up in a home where we were able to articulate clearly how we were feeling, right? If you got mad, you either shut down or you went off. It wasn't like, hey, I'm angry because, I'm upset because. There was no, you didn't have a space to speak that kind of language. And so in the beginning, when I was learning this process, working out helped a lot. I remember, and I can't wait to get fully healed so I could work out again, because I feel like I need to get on that treadmill. But I remember getting on the treadmill and just sobbing and crying one day, and I was like, what the heck is this? I didn't know that I just knew something was going on within me. But being able to work out and release some of that energy, my emotions came out, and then it was just like, okay,
Mhm.
why am I crying now? I started had to start asking myself questions. Why are you crying? Why are you breaking down? And that curiosity from the pressure that I felt from working out led to clarity. And clarity comes when you are not judging yourself. Clarity comes when you are curious about what is going on. And too many times, we're so, as human beings, we are very self-critical. So many times we're not approaching ourselves from a curious point of view to say, hey, why are you feeling that way? What is going on? Why do you feel stuck? We're always, well, not always, but a lot of the times we are condemning ourselves and we are judging ourselves. So our feelings are still being stopped up, so to speak, within us, and we are still not getting clarity. So my advice would be to, as you are going to that place of seeking clarity, have an open mind and be curious about what it is that you're going to find, because some of us don't know ourselves as well as we would like to think we do.
That's a good one. That's a good point about sometimes we do not know ourselves as well as we need to do. And I think what happens is too, being aware is one of the key things of knowing yourself. One time I had a meeting, and the meeting I was having was about addressing something that one of my employees were doing, and they were flabbergasted because they did. I didn't do that. You did. And I think sometimes too, we're so not aware of our habits that we will bring our habits into other situations and never realize we got to check ourselves. When I first started, not when I first started teaching, but I think what I've really kind of instilled over the years of teaching is that, hey, before we start this class, if you have an issue, let's talk about it at the door, and then we'll start class. because sometimes we don't even realize how our energy can be so negative or full of doubt or like sometimes nasty that you'll come into a space and not realizing that I am the negative energy in the room. Like I'm the problem. But when you've never taken time to really check yourself, to really be able to hold yourself accountable, is you're bringing an energy that you're like, no, like, nah, Jay, that was you. And I love that my students were like, nah, today, Chef, that was you. Or because I allowed them to really let that be accountability. So I think the next part about really getting unstuck is really about shifting your mindset and taking responsibility, which is what we're talking about now. Is that in order to have a mindset shift, it leads into a life shift. You have the power to change your situation, but as soon as you realize that you're in a situation, if you go through life and not really checking yourself, you'll be in so many situations and you realize that you don't have no growth. Like when people say like somebody always hate on me, nobody's even thinking about you. Like worry about yourself and worry about how do I get unstuck, because there's some situations that we're in, it's a self-created storm. I remember some years ago, this I had to be like, I don't know, like almost 17 years ago, Jennifer preached a message about a self-made storm. And how like a lot of times we go through life and we're wondering why it's that woe was me attitude, because we're personally the conductor of the storm, that we have not chosen to take accountability for what we're going through in life, to say, hey, what did I add to this? Because if I want to fix the problem, I got to first acknowledge that, hey, this is not the way I want to live. You know, even in Romans 12, verse 2, it says, be not conformed to the patterns of the world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. There are a lot of things that we're acting like we're not really acting the way we should because we're okay with being normal. And the thing about it is when you're made to be a light in the earth, sometimes you may not be the atypical person. You'll notice things that should be changed or this because you're made to be a light. And when you have a gift in your life, the light that you carry will start to spill out in other areas. So the reason why you see something wrong is because you're meant to make it right. But when you have not truly been aware of yourself and see yourself the solution, you'll always go around finding problems. When it's like, okay, as a solution solver, problem solver, what do I add to the situation to be the light? But when I'm so used to being stuck and not getting out of my place of reprobate mind, I'm not allowing myself to move clearly and to be the light I'm supposed to be. There's certain spaces that God is excited for you to be in, but you're so negative that you're not even seeing the light that you should be. When I go into like even like every day, I have to remind myself, Josh, you are a solution to these problems. Today, you will solve some problems and you will be the problem solver. I thank God I have an open mind, because as I pray these stuff, I have an open mind, getting these opportunities. A lot of times you're stuck because you're not finding yourself um, in situations to be the solver. Like once you start to really change your mind to start seeing that, hey, you know what? Today is the day for me to reach increase. Today is the day that I'm going to go to the next level. But what's required of you to go to the next level is really you have to solve some problems. Like if I'm like Natalie's a math teacher, in order for me to pass the test, I have to solve the problems that she gives me as a teacher. If I don't pass those, if I don't answer those questions properly, I got to do it again to get to the next level. And what happens is we're not passing the simple test because we're not choosing to actively say, you know what? Today I am the solution to a problem. So God, allow my mind to be clear to pass this test. Until you get to a place where you have an open mind, that you're quickly being transformed by the renewing of your mind, listen to positive talks, changing the conversations you have, being a monitor of your ear gate, of your eye gate, and your mouth gate, you start to be like lackadaisical of things that God wants you to do. Like to me, I know today I have a meeting after this, and during this process of having a conversation, like virtually with this lady, and she said, you know what, Josh, like you're such a breath of fresh air because I've been looking for X, Y, and Z. And from this conversation, I know you're the perfect person for this job. And I had to think about it. every situation I had that I really dealt with allowed me to be the answer to the problem. So now she has a problem and I'm able to be the solution because I didn't look at stuff in the past as, oh, why they treat me like this or why does this happen to me? What was me? I looked at it as, okay, God, you've put me as the solution. So let me get to the problem so I can solve it. So when you go to a place, you should be in the air that when you come to the place that people are looking to you because you are the answer to the problem. But so oftentimes too, we're not really taking accountability for who God made us to be, and we're not looking to grow. We're not looking to be an agent of change. We're looking at stuff that's like, why this happened to me? Because you're supposed to be the solution. So get out of your feelings and realize that, hey, you know what? I'm a solution person. So let me solve the problem. God has given me everything I need in life to be successful. And let me show up as the solution every time because God has made me to be the solution in this area of today, in today's times.
Baby, I absolutely love where you took that, man. Because first you were talking about, sometimes people are so stuck in their negativity that they're not able to see anything other than the negative, right? It becomes their norm. And then you wove in the fact that, as a solution, right, you are looking for problems, right? And even
Yeah.
let's bring it back to business. As a business owner, we know that we are the solution, so we should be intently looking for problems, right? And sometimes the problems come in ways that we don't expect it. Sometimes the problem doesn't always come in the client says, I have a problem, help me solve this problem. That the problem may come in a principal who says, I've been looking for you. The problem may come in the form of, an encounter with a coworker, an encounter with a vendor, an encounter with other people that are not necessarily looking for your, the package that you put together, right?
Hmm.
The problem may come in a different form, in a different way, but as a solution, if you know who you are, if you understand your identity as a solution, a problem solver, now you're not shying away when problems come. You're saying, based on how I'm made up, on how I am, how do I solve this problem? Right. And going back to getting stuck, I think we get stuck because we encounter problems that we don't think we are equipped to solve. And you don't always have to be equipped to solve the problem. But the thing about having a different mindset, right, is you have to now shift your mindset to, even if I don't know how to solve this particular problem, I can find a way. I
Yeah.
will always find a way. If that way is connected to another person, if that way is going on YouTube and finding an answer, it is shifting. What I will find another way. I had a client, I have to like big her up right now. Regina Ortle, she is the owner. I'm sorry, Chef Jay. She is the owner of Salty Remnant LLC. When she first partnered with me, it was like, oh my God, I have so many of these deficiencies. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to ask this person. It was just always like, it felt like she didn't know and she didn't have the answer. After working with her for some time, she came into a session the other day and she said, I'm so excited because I'm working on my website, and she was like, I got stuck along the way, but I'm not worried about it because I know that at some point I'm going to figure out how to get unstuck. The
That's good.
mindset was completely different. Before it was like, oh my gosh, I don't know, who do I need to figure out? This is never going to work. And now it's like, oh, I'm not worried about it because even though I'm stuck today, there's always a way out of this thing. And just having that different mindset, you're going to look at being stuck totally different, because sometimes we get stuck not just for our own benefit, not just for us to get through a problem, but there are people, especially if you're a problem solver, that are going to be stuck in the same ditch tomorrow that you were stuck in today. And you have an answer for these people because you were stuck and you figured out all the different ways to stay
That's
stuck and
good.
to get unstuck. So when you see them making a left turn or a wrong turn or doing certain, no, baby, don't do that because I was there. I was just there. And let me tell you how to get out of this ditch. You don't do that. You don't want to, we don't even recognize that we, even in encountering a problem, in the moment, we're becoming the solution. In the moment of encountering the problem, we are becoming a solution. So being stuck should not be a deterrent for you moving forward in your business. We should now change our mindset around that thing, right? Like, I'm stuck today. And I'm not trying to, sometimes we be trying to learn the lessons while we are stuck. I'm not trying to learn the lessons. The lessons are going to come. How do I figure out how to get out of this thing right now? I can't stop but come back to you, Chef Jay, because you said, I'm going to have to change my input. I'm about to listen to Miles Monroe for 3 hours. Like, I'm about to do that thing. Next time, it's not going to take you 3 hours. It's probably going to take you an hour. The next time, it's probably going to take you 15 minutes. The next time, you'll hear one little line from Miles Monroe. You'll be like, boop, right back to that place of
Hmm.
being unstuck. So yeah, I'm sorry. This was just really good. We need to go down that road.
No, that's good. What I love about what you're talking about with the client of yours, stop waiting for somebody to rescue you. Like, stop waiting for someone to rescue you. It's your responsibility to break free. It's a choice, it's a decision. I'm not going to be stuck today. I'm not going to be, and I think too, you have to replace limiting beliefs with God's promises over your life. If I feel like I can't make it, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Like, you got to have like an alternative to negativity, because the more you have another solution or positive words, you got to replace that. You know, but here's the part about that: when you start realizing that no one's coming to rescue you, um, you start taking small actions. Remember, small steps lead to big breakthroughs. The Bible talks about don't despise small beginnings, where things may seem so chaotic right now. But guess what? You're gonna remember the same moment, like you remember other past failures, and say, "Guess what? I made it out. I'm still here." But the best way to get unstuck is you got to start moving. These small steps will cause you to have growth. Overthinking um, leads to a paralyzed lifestyle. It's better to do something than to try to reach perfection, right? So right now I'm going to just try this, see if it works. If it doesn't work, the next thing. Because guess what? Taking action over excuses will always be a better situation, right? If you wait until you feel ready, you'll never start. There are times where I don't feel like doing stuff, but I know that who else gonna do it? Like, if I know that God called me to this dream or to this goal, I have to take action, because who else is going to do it? Who else is going to promote my brand? Who else is going to develop my skill? You have to take accountability and start making those small steps, because when you start making small realistic goals, it starts to build momentum, right? Where today it may not be a good day, but guess what? I made 3 steps. Tomorrow I'll make 4. The next day I may make 2, but I'm going to keep going because I want to build the momentum. But it talks about Ecclesiastes 11 verse 4. Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. You got to do something. You can't watch things happen. Like, oh, this happened today, so I guess I'll move on. But I got to remember that faith without works is dead. So I have to remind myself that if I don't put no work in, I can't expect to receive faith. Like, God will always add his superintendent your natural. That's a God-given fact, a principle. He will always do exceedingly abundantly above all you could ever ask or think. But if you're taking time every day to not purposely be intentional, if you're on social media for 10 hours of the day and did not do one step towards your goal, like, it's one thing about social media using market research. That's one thing. But sometimes we get the rabbit hole of watching TV, of doing this, of doing that, and we make no actionable steps. Like, you can start small. Start with one goal a day. We talked about this like probably like 2 years ago, Natalie, about one goal for us was just making our bed every day, because that was one small victory. And it has to get to a place where you're choosing that, like, hey, like, God has so much more for me, that if I continue to stay stuck, I'm going to see another day that I never have a chance to live again to not be successful. Like today is February 12th, 2025. We're never going to see this day again. So if I'm never going to see this day again, how do I want to leave the memory of today? Right? So even no matter if you feel stuck, if you feel like I can't do this anymore, pivot, try something, do one thing that's going to help you grow. You don't got to be perfect. Just realize that, hey, you know what? I know today isn't what I want it to be. It's the weather's kind of bad. It's cold outside. Well, I know you in the heat right now, Natalie, because you down south. It's cold, but you
It's
know
cold
what?
here too. My gosh, 40 degrees. Why?
It's cold, but you know what though? Like that could change your mood. But I'm like, you know what? Let me imagine myself living the life I want to live. I did this exercise with my mentor, Dr. Stacia, a few years ago at a conference, and it was a meditation exercise about vision and dreaming. And I did it at our conference that we had back in 2000 and I think 22 about the we did it together actually about the imagine, and we started to really create an image for our audience as they were sitting there talking with us, and we were really just helping people imagine the life they want to live, right? And I think too sometimes it's just that we feel like that dream is so far, like it can't be a reality. you know Anything could be a reality. It's just that how do I get from here to here? And if it's going to take me step by step, one step a day, two steps a day, I'm going to do that because I know that I want to receive what God has for me. But I can't be afraid to shoot my shot at success. I'm going to shoot my shot at overcoming. I'm going to shoot my shot at making a difference, because you just never know. Like today, the whole meeting I have is something that I'm like, oh, I don't want to go back to doing that again. But then I realized that, but you're good at it. What if God wants you to be there for a season to make a difference? Some things are not about you. It's about where how can I be a light in this season in this area. It's not about you, because what you realize is once you start to operate in the spirit of obedience and doing what God tells you to do and to being open, you realize that, I'm actually happier and experiencing more freedom, joy, financial growth in this space because I'm just being obedient. You never know who you're going to meet on the other side of being obedient, of shooting your shot, of getting unstuck. So just be encouraged that, like, hey, life is what you make it. Life is really what you make it. And it's okay to worry about being unstuck. Get unstuck. Get unstuck today. What can you do today? The day's not over. It's 12. What? It's 12:53. Make it happen.
Make it happen. Look, you gave, I think the key component to getting unstuck is taking action. And
Yeah.
I like that you said that because I went back and I looked at the definition. And one of the definitions to be stuck is to be fixed in a particular position or unable to move or be moved. And then you said pivot, right? You were like, if you make a decision today to pivot if you're feeling stuck. And it brings me back to basketball, learning that that word pivot originated as a basketball term
Mm,
where the player one foot would be planted firmly on the court, and then the other foot he would use to either move to the left or the right to find an open space to shoot the ball. And we can, if we look at that, right, you can be planted firmly, stuck, so to speak, but still be able to make a turn, right? And
mm,
even if you, like you said earlier, even if you make the wrong decision, at least you know that's not what I should do. I can go back and make a better decision. So the key to getting unstuck is to make a decision, to decide I'm just going to move. I'm just going to take action. Whatever that action is, even if it's not in the right direction, you can at least say, you know what? I was trying to get to New York and I end up working my way towards Florida. I need to make a U turn. I'm going in the wrong direction. But if you just stay, say you're in Virginia, you just stay there like, I'm hoping, like you said, ain't nobody gonna come help you. I'm hoping that somebody is gonna come and they're gonna tell me, oh, New York is that way. Like you could be waiting there forever, right? Make a choice. Make a choice. And somebody else dropped in the chat. They said, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't make. And that, I was like, we need to hear these things over and over again, because some people are shooting 0 for 0 and you're expecting things to change. It's never going to change. 0 divided by 0 will always be 0. It's never going to change. And so, even if I make 1 out of 100 shots, right? My percentages is still better than 0 out of 0.
That part.
Make a move, make a decision, and take action. Then you'll get the clarity that you need. Either I'm going in the wrong direction and I need to pivot, or I need to keep moving in this direction. So that was good.
Yeah, that's good. And I think the part about it is too, once you start practicing it, staying unstuck becomes a constant thing because now you start to create long term growth and accountability. Consistency is greater than motivation, right? Motivation fades, but when you have discipline, you keep on moving. There are some times where you don't feel motivated to do something, but because I've adapted this discipline, I know this is the road for me to take. I'm going to keep going at it because you want to make sure that your consistency outweighs your motivation sometimes because sometimes you don't feel motivated. But guess what? Because I'm dedicated and I'm disciplined to this, I'm going to build a routine that supports my growth. There's sometimes we don't feel motivated, but it doesn't mean that we give ourselves permission to stop. You have to make progress because when you stay accountable, you got to realize that your journey is not about you, right? A lot of times I realize with my mentees, they watch me, and so what was big about this weekend, Natalie, I'm glad you said the part about the whole graduation thing. So with graduating, and graduating my being a valedictorian of the class was big for me because like, when I first started the program, my students, they were surprised I was back in school. I'm like, yeah, I'm back in school. Like I'm in school just like y'all. So don't give no excuses. And so a lot of times too, when they feel like school's not important or like what is out of this, to see your mentor who you really rock with doing the same thing you're doing and excelling at it while still doing all this other stuff, it really makes you want to go hard and succeed. So this weekend, like some of my students FaceTime, my old students rather, they FaceTime me to talk about graduation. And it was a good feeling because it was like, wow, like people are watching you. And you never know, by you being consistent, motivated or not to get the job done, you're disciplined to do it. People take accountable, they take action to your yes. So your yes is just not for you, but your yes for people who are surrounding you. And when you make sure that you are being accountable, things happen. But and the scripture talks about Galatians 6 verse 9. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for the proper time you'll reap if you faint not. Like the harvest is around the corner for a lot of us, but we're so in a place of like, oh, I don't want to do this. But if you just hold on just a little while longer, you'll see you start reaping the harvest. And in my lifetime now, right now, like it was a kind of a stuck mold really the past few weeks, but like just kind of feeling that energy of like this weekend with graduation and just like seeing that, man, there's so many people that's like, I look at the comments, it's so many people that was rooting for me to do this and they're just proud of what I'm doing. And meanwhile, I'm like, man, I'm just trying to get this done. Meanwhile, it's like people like, yo, like you was doing all this at the same time. We didn't even know this part. So it's just good to see that, and I think the other part about that, when you are in a place of trying to be consistent and growing, iron sharpens iron. Like for me and Natalie, the reason why we like this weekly session for us is like therapeutic for us too, because we have other stuff going on, but sometimes we're at the top of what we do. So it's good when you're around your equals. You're not saying people are equals, but when you're around like your colleague to get that support. So like I'm motivated when Natalie tells me stuff. She's motivated. I tell her stuff because we're all working towards getting growth, but sometimes it's hard. So when I can talk to Natalie about her successes, I'm like, man, let me step my game up. It motivates me. So you want to get yourself in a group of colleagues that can help you get unstuck. Being unstuck is a choice, but also the company you keep is a choice. If you keep the same company around that doesn't motivate you, if you keep same partners around that's not really motivating you, like you'll start to see that a lot of time is taken away from our growth because of our surrounding circles. I have a hard time staying stuck because one of my friends gonna snap me out of it. I was talking to Lima yesterday. And I was talking about, she's like, yeah, I was praying for you, friend, because this ain't you. Because like these are people that know who you are, where I can depend on my friends praying for me. I can depend on my friends really just expecting the best out of me, because your friends know what you're capable of. And sometimes you have to be mindful of having people around who are going to motivate you, pray for you, speak the real into you, where you might get annoyed hearing it, but at the end of the day, like that's your accountability partner. So it's okay. So just to kind of recap this, what we're talking about is you can get unstuck. It starts with recognizing what's holding you back, shifting your mindset, and taking small steps and staying accountable. a word of sorry, a word of encouragement. Your breakthrough is on the other side of action. Start today. Your breakthrough is on the other side of action. Start today. Call to action. So listen, think about what you're being stuck, write it down, make it clear, be honest with yourself, make a plan. And then even to remember the scripture, Jeremiah 29, verse 11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you, but plans to give you hope and a future. You have a future. You have hope. You have everything in your hands that God has designed for you to do. You don't got to look for your purpose. Look inside yourself and ask every day, God, to show me my purpose. Show me how to get unstuck. Show me how to stay motivated. What things do I need to add to my daily diet of doing to make sure I'm realizing that every single day I am growing in you, and I'm also realizing I am going to manifest everything that you have for me, but help me stay unstuck. Help me find when he's, because if I need help, I'm gonna ask for it. So if I need this, ask for help, and God will make sure you have it. You got anything to add, Natalie?
That's it. I love the part. If you need help, ask for it. Like you always say, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you are in need of assistance, purpose, and clarity coaching, if you want to take your businesses to the next level, holla at us. We are here to assist you. We ain't trying to go to the top by ourselves. We're trying to gather as many people that want to go with us. Okay, so come on, let's do this thing.
All right, so guys, have a wonderful week on purpose, and we will see you guys next Wednesday. And like and share this feed, guys. Share it out to people who you might know need some help, because we all need some help.
Yes.
All right, bye.